lives. So transformation of fear may have nothing to do with making fear go away, but rather with giving ourselves permission to hang out in the transition between trapezes. Transforming our need to grab that new bar, any bar, is allowing ourselves to dwell in the only place where change really happens. It can be terrifying. It can also be enlightening in the true sense of the word. Hurtling through the void, we may just learn how to fly. That's my friend Dana. Isn't that beautiful? So we find ourselves here in this very room in the transition process, an opportunity for us to feel, to support one another, to work together, and to jump together. As you know, I am in the transition business. Just about every day that I work in my current life, my job is to witness and support people who are making the jump from this reality to the next one. I stand with their families. We sing, we pray, we cry, we talk, we listen, we sit in silence, and we wait a lot. There's no roadmap because every transition is different. But there are 3 stages, if you will, to every transition that I'd like to share with you. Every transition begins with an ending. It's kind of funny, in the beginning was an ending. Something is over. The job, the child living at home, the life on this earth, youth and smooth faces. And then there is a beginning, what some writers call, I think this is so funny, some writers call it a new beginning. Have you ever experienced an old beginning? I don't know why they always say that, but they do. At any rate, for many of us, there's this tendency to move as quickly as possible, as Danon said in his reading, into the new beginning and just not feel that void. But the void is the place where the riches are. The void is the place where we can listen and discern and hear God's guidance, where we're changing, where we're becoming not just somebody going through a process, but somebody who's being transformed. That's the place where you're hanging in midair, letting go of the way it was, and grasping for the way it's going to be, but you're not holding on to anything. And it's impossible to hang on to both bars, or either one. The only way through a transition is to let it be what it is. So that is our sacred trust, our journey right now as a spiritual community. One of the undeniable experiences of the ending is sadness or grief. And we've all experienced it. We all know what grief feels like, what sadness feels like. It is a falling away. Something we've known is changing and we can't control it. But here's where the power lies. We decide how. We decide how we will go through this transition. We decide how we will manage the grief. We decide how we will manage the ending, the void, how we will prepare for the next chapter. We decide how we will support and listen to and talk to each other. There are transition experts out there other than hospice staff, and one of them I was reading about, just recently, was a mother. A mother going through months of growth, going through a new life forming inside of her, and then one day needing to let that life go. Let that life be independent of her. Release that little new life into the world. I read something by a midwife who said that transition is the moment when the soon-to-be mother decides that she really didn't want to have a baby after all. You've been there. And would prefer to return to the way things were. That's a joke too, isn't it? We've all had that kind of an experience, mothers or not. There are very powerful forces at work here. There's this desire to keep things the way they are and the pull toward new birth that changes everything. And Ron, I just loved it when you said going back to the way it was. I thought, perfect, perfect. So here we are, because there's no turning back. There's no going back to the way we were. You know, when Moses led the Israelites across the desert, they were actually fleeing from slavery. The Egyptians had enslaved the Israelites, and the people are going across the desert, and what did they do? It was crucial that they leave these lives of slavery for something better, something life-giving, life-enhancing, for life itself. I mean, God directed Moses, told him what to do, where to go, how to do it, you know, who to bring along, who's going to be the leader, and yet those people going through the desert, what did they do? Wah! They were whining, right? They're saying, Moses, we just want to go back. I mean, I feel like I talk about that all the time. It must be because I have that, you know, inner Israelite in me. They all wanted to go back to what was predictable, back to what was familiar. Come on, let's all go back. Moses, forget about it. We're going back to those Egyptians. But that was not a part of the divine plan for them. There was no going back. We can only go forward now. And how will we do this? There's the juice. There's the life force, right? How will we do this?